On the 27th of April, Wild Earth will be turning 14 years old, and we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for all of you. And to celebrate, we will be finishing the beautiful book that we started last year that looks at the history so far. But we do need you to be part of it. Please submit your most memorable sighting, or what Wild Earth means to you, or even just your name and a comment to be included inside the book. Head over to the website to add your name and reserve your copy. We are offering a 20% discount on all books bought before the end of March. And a big thank you to all of you who have contributed to the book so far.
I'm absolutely delighted to have won the February prize draw for 3 nights for 6 people at the Djuma Private Game Reserve. I absolutely love everything Wild Earth has to offer. I find the guides extremely knowledgeable and will go above and beyond to ensure a great safari experience. I will be taking my husband and family from the UK to experience this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. One of the main reasons I joined the Wild Earth Explorer program was for the fireside chats and also to win an incredible prize, which I am so fortunate to win and incredibly happy. I would like to thank Wild Earth for this amazing prize and cannot wait to meet the team.
I got into wildlife filmmaking because of a passion for nature and a notion that I could make a difference. Helping others fall in love with nature brings meaning to what I do. It's also a lot of fun. A couple of times per week we receive some very heartfelt messages from viewers telling us about how Wild Earth has made a difference in their life, whether it's helped them through a difficult period or simply helped them to reconnect with nature. I think that's why we do what we do.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the African Bush Safari, your live safari in the African bush this morning. We are starting this morning in this gorgeous setting of the Kalahari, and we've got actually a rather upsetting few wildebeest that's been quite upset actually looking at this mountain's base this morning, actually just coming across looking at this bush section. As myself and BK have just basically driven on the edge of this mountain this morning, we've come across one spotted hyena that's been coming through, and so what's been happening is that the spotted hyena has just disappeared into that thicket, and it looks like they are staring at it, so we're relying on the wildebeest just to pinpoint what's happening there. So this morning on your live African safari in the bush, we have Juma, Steve, and also Juma, Trishala, and Ngala. We've got Trico, Pridelands, we've got Mike on a bushwalk, and at Pinda we've got Pete and myself and BK in Tswalu Kalahari. And so we will be your teams out all over South Africa in your live African bush safari in Africa this morning. So we are just going to be checking out the scene and just seeing what could be possibly happening with this hyena coming through the base edge of this mountain this morning, as this wildebeest is indicating the movement of this hyenas. So welcome back, everybody. We are still, as I said, looking at the scene where these wildebeest, it looks like these hyenas might have actually moved a bit forward, coming to the front edges of this bush. You can see BK is just panning over this area as we're trying to figure out where they have moved off to. We have had this hyena coming off from the southern side, that plain section that he's panning over, as we're trying to scan and see where this hyena has been coming through to. But yeah, from that point of view, myself and BK is your team in the Kalahari this morning. Myself, Ewan, and BK behind the camera. And so welcome to your live African bush safari this morning. And so yeah, the plans for this morning is actually just to stay here for about another 5 minutes or so, just to see if we can't get another visual on this spotted hyena. It was quite great as we started up this morning, seeing this hyena as we pulled out from our base. And so yeah, the thing is, after this we're going to be traveling back south towards those meerkats, and we're going to see if we can try and get some of those meerkat colonies out and about at the Barrow systems for this morning. So we're just going to keep on going, scanning a bit on that wildebeest as well. You can see some of them are returning to feeding a bit, and seems like they are starting to relax actually. So the possibilities are that these hyenas have moved off. We've had him actually on the road this morning, and as we started the show, he's moved off into the bush and just walking along the edge of the mountain there. So folks, if anybody is interested in asking some questions, please pop your questions through this morning to #WildEarth or at FC. If you want to be placing your questions, register on the WildEarth website. Head over to the live safari page, and then you can submit your questions right there. Pretty much, we are really hoping for you to give us a nice amount of questions this morning as well, especially as we reach those meerkats, and we'll be seeing what we can do this morning on those meerkats, and also hoping to see what we can see on the way down south towards those meerkats. We might actually find a few more hyenas actually on our way down south that we're traveling along the edges of the mountains this morning. If you also under 18, please pop your questions through at email on kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. And so, folks, we're going to send you off to the weather as we are going to look out for the weather report for the various locations this morning.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to and beyond Ngala. Such a beautiful and very chilly morning, as you can hear. A lot of birds starting to call. So this morning we're going to be heading a little bit more west of the property, and we'll see what we can find in that direction. Good morning, everybody. My name is Trico, and behind the camera we have Gert. So in this general direction where we're going, it's going to take us maybe another 20 minutes to 30 minutes to get to the west, and we'll see if maybe we can find anything interesting there. There's also like this huge waterhole where we're going, so maybe we might get to find some hippos and maybe even some crocodiles in that direction. As I said, it's very, very chilly, so even some predators in the early morning like this might be a bit active. You know, might get some still vocalizing in this early chilly morning. And yeah, excited to have you guys with us this morning. As you can see, this morning the sky is quite clear in comparison to yesterday where it was a bit cloudy. So I think today is going to be another very hot day. Sorry, Sam, I didn't copy the first bit of your question. I think there's a bit of transmission problems. You are braking a little bit. Sam, I believe you're asking, when do hippos return to the water? Good question there, Sam, and I'm glad you can join us. So, Sam, just very early in the morning, just before the sun comes up, that's when usually hippos return to the water. Even around at this time, you know, though you'll find them sometimes busy feeding, heading closer and closer to the water holes. Because remember, at night time, they would have been out of the water, feeding on grass. Sometimes they can walk as up to 5 kilometers away from water holes, just feeding on grass. And then early in the morning, just before the sun comes up, that's when they return. There was an interesting bird that flew right up on that tree here. Just gonna stop here. Let's hope he doesn't move off. Just sitting right up on the tree there. There we go. There it flies. I think it's gonna land on that other tree as well. Right at the top. So I don't know if you guys saw. Let's have a closer look. Look at the tail shape. It actually has a split. It's almost like a fork. It's actually quite dark in color. And another one just joined there. What you see there is a fork-tailed drongo. So in the early morning like this, start getting active, looking for insects. One of the amazing things about them is that they can be able to mimic, I think, over 50 to 60 different other bird calls. We still haven't figured why exactly they do that. But my opinion, this is actually my very own opinion, is that sometimes they'll mimic other larger birds, like your raptors, especially if in that area where it is, there's a lot of food around. So they'll try to mimic something bigger so that the other birds don't come close by into that area, so that it can have the food, or the whole food rather, for itself. I think we're just gonna stop here for now and just listen all the different sounds of nature. Okay, some Bashal's cuckoo calling in the distance. Some few ring-necked doves calling. So yeah, we're gonna keep on heading west and stick to the plan. But while we do that, I'm gonna send you to Steve. I think he wants to say hi.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I hope you're having a splendid day so far. We, meaning myself and Paul, are trying to figure out a little bit of a mystery in the sand. Hello, my name is Steve, joined by Paul on camera, and it's always excited to have you with us. Now, we followed the wild dog tracks all the way from quarantine, all the way up into our sort of eastern boundary. There's a hyena there. Wild dogs over here. They've all come, they came all the way along the boundary. There's a male leopard track over there. Just up ahead here, there's this huge commotion that goes on in the road with hyena and wild dog. But the dog's tracks have gone sort of this way, this way, this way. So we're not quite sure where they've gotten to. They're all over the place. So we're going to have to just pop in over here and have a look, shall we? How wonderful was it seeing them last night? That's going to be our plan for now. Just have a little scratch around. These dogs are all over the place. I'll show you what I mean in a moment. Just up ahead, there was probably a hunt that happened, or a leopard got treed. All hyenas and wild dogs had an altercation. I'll show you in a moment. I think it's just up here, but it's suddenly the road just like all the animals descended upon there. And then trying to figure out where they went from that exact spot is difficult. Because if you've seen wild dogs move before, they're up and down, up and down. I even found a hyena just now that was also confused. Leopard tracks coming along the boundary. So what we're going to look for now is maybe a tallish sort of tree nearby that maybe the dogs chased a leopard into. It's possible. Okay, here is the commotion. All over the road here. All over the road here and further up there. Huge commotion of dogs going in all sorts of directions. We had a track of the leopard over here as well, so I think that might be... Here we go, here's the leopard's track. It's going that way. Leopard's gone directly north. Oh, he's turned again. Here goes the leopard. Okay, great. Here's the leopard heading. Dogs, 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 dogs. It's almost as if they were playing or fighting. In there, down that way. We've gone that way to Djuma. This is going to be interesting. Way too many tracks this morning. But where has the leopard gone? I think that's the key. Find out where this leopard's gone. There he's in amongst the dogs. He came after. It's not uncommon for leopards to move in to a kill, say wild dogs. The way this is all happening here without me seeing any bone is maybe they killed something here. It's not uncommon for a leopard to move in and actually steal from dogs. But while we try to figure out these tracks, let's send you over to Pete. He wants to say good morning.
Good morning and welcome to and Beyond Phinda, where we've just come across this beautiful big white rhino bull. It's just slowly feeding along in these beautiful open areas. My name's Pete, and behind the camera this morning we have Craig, and we've got a really, really lovely morning. It's quite chilly, you can see I've got my jacket on this morning, but yeah, it looks like it's going to be quite a lovely day out here. This white rhino seems to maybe have just woken up. He probably would have spent the night in an area similar to this. Maybe found a little sandy spot to try and keep warm. I'm going to just try and re-angle so we can get him again. Just slowly going behind the bush there. They seem to always do this as we go live for some reason. But there we go, you can just see the back of him for now in the shade there. Maybe we'll try from the other side of the bush. Yeah, so I'd rather just been moving slowly in this direction from left to right. Internet Spencer, yeah, thank you. This is very nice to see a white rhino this early in the morning. I'm sure as the day heats up, he's going to be, there we go. He's coming out quite nicely now. Heading towards one of the little mud wallows that's around. It does look like it's going to be quite a scorcher out here. It's quite interesting. You usually see oxpeckers on the top of rhinos or on the backs of rhinos, but in this case we've got two black-bellied starlings, which also, they don't glean and they don't take the ticks off of the rhinos just like the oxpeckers do. They follow behind them and they wait for little insects to jump up as the rhino is walking, and they go and grab them. So quite interesting to see that. I was mentioning earlier that as it heats up, this rhino is probably going to go towards one of the waterholes or one of the mud wallows, and you can see on the top right shoulder he's got a lot of mud there. Actually on his whole back it looks like at some stage, maybe yesterday, he caked himself in some mud. And they'll often do that because they've got really thick skin, so it helps them cool down. And actually has a few purposes. Also helps them with parasites. And then once that mud's dried off, you can also see those scratches on the side of his back there. He'll go and rub up against a rubbing post or against a tree with nice bark, and it'll really help relieve the scratch. For a little while, see what he gets up to.
Our lives are dictated by alarm clocks, traffic jams, constant multitasking, and countless distractions. The wilderness is where many of us feel the most human. On a bushwalk, we become part of the natural landscape. As you step off the vehicle, everything comes alive. As with any risky experience, walking amongst these animals inspires awe and appreciation. Now, it's your turn to go on a bushwalk. Join us from Pride Lands as we slow down our thoughts, put aside our distractions, and reconnect with a place that first taught us how to be human. It's the month of March, and Wild Earth is offering you the chance to win a brand new prize. Sign up to be a Wild Earth Explorer, and you could win a 5-day eco-training ranger experience for 2. Eco-training is the pioneer and leader in safari guide and wildlife training in Africa. The lucky winners can look forward to approaching dangerous game on foot, tracking and 4x4 driving, learning about animal behavior, and even spending one night sleeping out under a blanket of stars. In addition, you will also get the exclusive opportunity to join the Wild Earth team on the broadcasting vehicle. Sign up to be an explorer now, and it could be you that wins this life-changing experience. Terms and conditions apply.
Hi, my name is Tristan Dix, and I am a guide here at Djuma Private Game Reserve for Wild Earth. We love connecting you to the African bush, and we always look forward to all of your questions. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, you'll need to register on the website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit a question below the live feed. Catch up with me on Wild Earth.
Good morning, everyone. I wonder if you can hear. There's lots of elephants in the bush behind us, but we are on a mission today. Hey, it's me, Trishala. I was going to say it's Trishala, and I didn't say hi. It's morning. It's me, Trishala. I've got Johan on camera with me, and like I said, we're on a mission because Tlalamba was seen in this area earlier this morning. Fleeting glances. Nobody followed up, so we're going to go and do that. We just got stopped by an elephant roadblock, but they very kindly moved off the road. So let's get going. So she was seen on Drakensberg Road moving towards Guaripan Road, and nobody saw her come out of this block. So this is the block here on my right. Nobody followed up, so let's see if we're lucky. That would be such a treat. The best treat ever, actually, for today, if we can see Tlalamba. Everyone's been asking about her. Where is she? What's she doing? Has anybody seen her? At least now we know that she's been seen. Even if we don't manage to find her, because you know how she is. She knows how to take us on a Tlamba goose chase. So got out a little, when I heard that somebody had seen, I got out extra early. So we ended up here in the east with some time. So we've done a few circles around the block, haven't seen anything. So that's the strategy for today, I suppose, is just to go around these blocks and check for tracks, etc. Now, I can't go into the block if I don't see anything, if I don't hear anything. If I hear an alarm call and I've got tracks, then I can go into the block, but I can't just willy-nilly drive in. Hi, Donna. You'd like to know what's my favorite animal? I don't have one. I can't pick a favorite animal. Each one is so special in its own right that it's just very, very difficult for me to pick a favorite animal. And even if I did have a favorite animal, that favorite animal wouldn't exist if all the other animals and all the other bits of life on the planet didn't exist either. So I find my head does too many things, and it doesn't just like to just pick something simply. I talk about it like it's the separate entity. Sometimes it does feel like that. But it won't allow me to pick a favorite. I love all things. Now, she could also come out at Buffelshoek Dam. She could also come out on Nyala Road South. Nyala Road North. Or onto Central. This is a huge block. I mean, she could also come out onto Hyena Road. That's way on that side. It's a very bushy block. Very difficult to drive in there. There's also lots of little drainages, crevices, things like that. So it's going to be very, very difficult to get into the block. I mean, you can see it's no path. You see that it's kind of just cut for the road. So we're going to have to do our best to try and locate her, try and listen out for her. I don't think she was on a patrol though, so we might not hear her sawing. Usually when leopards are on a patrol, they'll be and she was obviously moving straight west from Cheetah Cut Line. So probably not on patrol. It's going to be more difficult to follow her. Anyway, let me get moving. I'm going to send you over to Trico. He's found something very big, apparently.
So look what we just found, guys. So as we're driving towards the western area of the property, we just came across this elephant bull. Just beauty fitting through the morning. And you can see he has a bit of raisin bush in his mouth. I think I'm gonna just turn around a bit so that we can get a better sight or view of him. There we go. I mean, in an early morning like this, I mean, it's a little bit chilly. So there's a lot of dew in the grass. So yeah, I mean, this elephant is loving this grass or these bushes that it's feeding on because there's a bit of moisture. So I think one viewer is asking, where do elephants sleep? I'm just going to move a little bit more forwards so so that we can have a better view or better position. So where do elephants sleep? So elephants can actually sleep anywhere they like. So when do they sleep? Sorry there. So elephants can sleep at any time whenever they feel like. Most especially, you know, if they are feeling tired and they've been walking around a lot. Because remember, you know, an elephant will eat about 200 to 250 kgs of food. So there's a you know, a lot of moving around, looking for food. So really at any time, even during the day, you know, you find them, you know, standing. Sometimes they sleep standing, but I've seen youngsters sleeping while laying down. So yeah, like any time, yeah, same as us as humans, you know, sometimes we just want to take naps, and you know, we can sleep whenever we you know, our body feels like. As you can see, it's just a lone bull by itself. So a bull like this, you know, when he was young, he was with the whole herd, with all the females. As you know, in the whole herd, it will be like all related females and their youngsters. As this bull get to 12 to 14 years old, he got pushed out of the herd, or left his herd, because obviously you don't want him staying there and potentially mating with his mums and sisters. So you'll find bulls like this by themselves, but sometimes they will come across some other bulls that are in the same predicament as him, and then they will hang together, keep each other company. But what I've observed over time of myself being out here in the bush is that they'll always all the time trail ahead. Look at him swishing his tail side to side. Sorry, I didn't copy the first part. There was a bit of muffled there. Can you go again? Sorry, still cannot copy you. I'm just going to move a little bit more forward. But I still cannot copy anything here. Looks like this elephant is loving these little bushes here, the raisins. And as you can see, he's not even in a hurry. Kelly, now I can copy your question. Do elephants see well through the night? Kelly, yes, they do. And you'll find them at night busy moving around and still be feeding. So this pool, as you can see, the sun is starting to get a little bit warmer. I think after feeding, it's probably going to go to a water hole where where there's going to be a bit of mud, a bit of water, where he's going to just wallow in there, protecting his skin from the heat. Because I mean, even though the skin of that elephant, you can see there's a lot of wrinkles. They do actually are sensitive to the heat. Everlasting. Glad you can join us. Yeah, it is actually quite amazing. And actually sometimes like they use that trunk as sort of like looks like an elastic as they move it around. They can actually extend it and they can bring it back a little bit. It's quite incredible. And believe me or not, this is just only muscles in that trunk, no bones at all. And you can see there's some few birds just flying around this elephant there. And there are some birds that, you know, they will just follow this elephant as it moves. For example, like that drongo that we saw. And some other starlings as well. Because this elephant moves, or as it shakes trees, it disturbs a lot of insects. And that's what these birds are after. Which, to be honest, I think that's quite smart. I mean, you don't have to waste energy flying around a lot. You just fly to a certain area and just let the elephant do the work, and you just, you know, fly from behind and catch these insects. All right, while we're still enjoying this elephant, I'm going to link you to Steve.
Welcome back to Djuma Live, everybody. We've just decided to stop next to a little pan and do some birding. The wild dog tracks. I've picked them up again. We haven't picked them up again. They seem to head south into the block. I know Trish was working around Buffelshoek Dam area. She didn't seem to pick up anything that side. So, after a wild dog chase, although we didn't chase, we did move quite quickly following their tracks. Decided just to take it down a notch. It's the beginning of a week. You don't want a fast-paced, frenetic Monday to start off. See the bird just over there. Oh! What is he? Did you get him? Oh, there he is, on the end of the branch. Oh, it's a common waxbill. We got them here. How cool is that? Two little common waxbills. Oh, so pretty. Waxbills and little seed-eating birds are often so beautiful. That's a little mask. See what happens when you slow down. The little beauties pop out. Now everybody finding, if you ever are looking to do some birding and you're looking to find diversity of species, little pans like this with thorny trees or trees close next to the margin, like you can see there's one here and one there, right next to the edge of the water. with some vegetation along the edge. It's a great place to sit and do some birding because although in the city you might see some birds like to come to these sort of normal bird baths that people put out, they're very exposed and there's lots of predation that can get them. So they love to hang out where there's a thorny bush where they can sit, clean themselves, swoop down, drink back into the bush again. Just a thought. Beautiful, beautiful places for birding. Well, we're going to carry on doing a little bit more birding and send you over to Mike to say good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to a nice, crisp and cool late summer's morning here at Pridelands, where we've got some hippo tracks. My name is Michael Anderson. Behind the camera is Niels, and it's Pridelands Conservancy with Eco Training. It's a glorious morning. I can't wait to see what else it brings, but what it had brought this morning early were these hippos, or at least one hippo. The one that you've seen there at Ndlovu Dam must have gone out last night to feed on some grass at zebra clearings. But anyway, right now, I want to show you this track in the middle here. So it's a nice big hippo track, and I'll just outline it for you so you can see clearly where it is. So this is the outline of the track. It's an even-toed ungulate, strangely speaking. People often wonder, an ungulate, that doesn't make any sense. These are actually the toes, and that's what it's standing on. But because it's such a heavy animal, the pad also shows. Now, this is 1 toe, 2 toes, 3 toes, 4 toes. And you can see it's different from a track of a rhino because rhinos only have 3 toes. So this over here would be 1 solid unit. So now you can definitely see 2 distinct toes there. And another difference between the white rhino and the hippo track is that the toe here on the outside is facing away from the rest of it, and these toes are facing forward. With a white rhino, these toes would be facing forward. They both have very similar digestive systems. In fact, this one here had showed us exactly what it was eating just about 20 meters down the road. Unfortunately, our signal wasn't good enough there to show you, but there was a nice big patch of hippo dung that had sprayed all over a small bush just to mark its trail back to the water. Now, I suspect hippos are territorial of water, but I don't know how territorial they are out of water, because I've seen many times before where hippos are feeding in a big group together. Alison, absolutely. Hippos' feet are pretty big, although surprisingly smaller than you'd expect for an animal that size, because this track is a bit smaller than a rhino track. And this is a fairly big hippo that's in Ndlovu Dam. But it's because they spend most, well, not really sure where I was going with that. I had a bit of a mind blank for a second there, but anyway, it's smaller than what it looks. I was going to say a hippo actually eats a lot less than what a rhino does, but that's got nothing to do with its foot size. So I'm not sure where I was going with that, but hippos eat a lot less than rhinos do, even though they eat exactly the same amount, the same vegetation, and they weigh the same amount. Because a hippo lives in water, its body is supported by the water, and so it doesn't need to use as much energy. They spend most of the day just lying in the water, and they only come out to feed for a few hours at night, whereas something like a rhino has to walk around the whole day feeding. Even on a full moon night like last night, the rhino would have been out and feeding and moving about. So that's pretty awesome. Luckily, this hippo is already at the waterhole and we don't have to worry. Early morning walking, especially around waterholes or rivers, can be a very nerve-wracking experience, because hippos, like this bull hippo here, are very protective of their water and also very quick to run back to water if they feel threatened. So if you happen to be between a hippo and its waterhole, you better know how to jump out the way very quickly, because it will come steaming through, and of course with those massive teeth and big mouths, it can cause you a little bit of a concern if you happen to be in its way when it comes through. But you can see the grass here behind me, still fairly green, fairly luscious, lots of nice green leaves. And so that's what they're feeding on right now. And as the summer ends and the winter starts, it's going to get drier and drier, and you find the hippos having to move further and further from water. So that's always something to consider. They can move many kilometers at night to get from a waterhole, sometimes 7 or 8 kilometers in a single night, moving to try and find that grass. Because remember, we've got lots of buffaloes here. There's plenty of elephants, and there's of course all the other plains game around. So the hippo has to compete with all of those to find this resources. So you'll find certain areas will start getting very, very short grass. Our students have to be very careful at night at the moment, because that hippo does come out. We also had buffaloes through our camp last night. So we have to make sure to keep on our toes.
On the 27th of April, Wild Earth will be turning 14 years old, and we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for all of you. And to celebrate, we will be finishing the beautiful book that we started last year that looks at the history so far. But we do need you to be part of it. Please submit your most memorable sighting, or what Wild Earth means to you, or even just your name and a comment to be included inside the book. Head over to the website to add your name and reserve your copy. We are offering a 20% discount on all books bought before the end of March. And a big thank you to all of you who have contributed to the book so far. For all of you Wild Earth explorers who bought plaques, today is the day that you will make your very first safari on our vehicle. Because we are quite remote here in the bush, they have taken some time to arrive, but I am happy to say they are here and they look great. Marcel has spent the day attaching them. Let's take a look.
Before we mount these nameplates, we just give a light dusting of green paint. This is to better match them to the color of the vehicles and also to decrease the reflectivity of the metal and thereby staying sensitive towards the animals.
Bumble crew. Hopefully, Dan Black, Liesel Apgar, and Alicia George. Well, it's time for me to get ready to take you all on a safari. Let's go.
I'm Nikki here at Ambient Ngala in South Africa. I love getting questions from viewers about all the small things within the environment and how it all is integrated with one another. If you want to ask me any questions, please simply register with the Wild Earth website, head across to the Live Safari page and then post your questions there. I'm looking forward to chatting to you on my next Wild Earth drive.
Hello everybody, looks like you're back with us. We still trying to just do some tracking this morning. Lots of hyena activity here, coming up and down the drainage with some little ones. But while Paul and I were sitting there doing some birding, and obviously birding comes with a cup of coffee, we heard elephants on the other side of the drainage line making all sorts of sounds. So I'm just going to go and figure out what it is that might be causing the elephants to be upset. It's not normally hyena that upset elephant. Very fresh elephant dung in the road there. I'm just checking this is all hyena that's coming out here. Yes, it is. Very fresh elephant dung. We're not far behind them. We could hear them vocalizing before. You know, the male elephants causing the females all sorts of problems at the moment, and young elephants are being born, and predators around who's trying not to drive in it. Let's move up on this side and don't hurt myself. Pregnant and females, males and must wanting to mate. Leopards all over the place if we can only find them. Wild dogs running rampant through the property. Many, many things could be causing the elephants a bit of heartache. It's really hard to know exactly what it is unless you're there. So let's see if we can find them. We will take it from there. Trish is sort of working on the other side of the drainage here for what was apparently Tlalamba this morning. It's a beautiful Monday, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful morning. Mpo, are you having a beautiful morning? Yes, Paul's having a beautiful morning. Of course, we're in great company in a beautiful surrounding. And, well, Mike is in a beautiful surrounding himself over there in Pridelands.
Certainly is beautiful. Doesn't smell particularly beautiful though, unfortunately, with all the elephant dung around here. But I don't know if any of you remember, it must have been a couple of months ago now, we filmed a really amazing spectacle. It was my first time to ever see African bullfrogs in their full mating, fighting display. And it was in this exact puddle of mud now. So it had a lot of water here. It had just rained heavily and those bullfrogs came out. And it's just amazing to see that this place that had all that activity is now basically completely dry. There's a little bit of mud over there, but it's mostly really, really dry. And it's because of all the elephants that have been here. You can see the elephant dung all over us. So what's happened is they've come to this waterhole. About a week ago, there was still a lot of water here, and they've splashed and moved around and sprayed mud everywhere. And there's even lots of tracks of buffaloes all around. In fact, I want to see if there's one that you can see clearly. I don't think so, not from that angle anyway. But this is a buffalo track right over here. This, just in here. So it looks like buffaloes also came and wallowed in this mud, and that basically have taken most of the moisture with them on their bodies as they move away. Which is very important. It keeps them safe from the harsh African sun. Keeps them safe from the insects and the bitey things as well. I'm not going to use any right now, but maybe as it gets a bit warmer I'll also use a bit of mud sunscreen. But what's interesting is we also filmed that the dung beetle burying its ball a few days ago, and we showed you what it looked like now. But some of those insects, the exact same ones that were on that dung ball, are just over here on the edge of this elephant dung, and actually they're mating. Just in front of my little wand over here, there's a pair of them that are busy mating. I don't know what insects these are. I couldn't find them in the insect book. Hymenoptera of some sort, which I believe is the wasp, sort of an ant family. It's very interesting to see. They're obviously very attracted to any sort of dung. It must be part of their life cycle to lay eggs in dung and do, well, apparently also mating on the dung. Have a look here. I can see them doing something underneath there. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them just on the side here where the dung is actually exposed, busy digging in there. Oh, I'm sinking in this mud a little bit. Alison, well, the dry dung, no, but underneath this hard crust here is actually a very moist pile of dung. Because of dung is like a sponge, it'll suck up the moisture, so it's on this patch of mud, so underneath there it's sucking up moisture, and so there's lots of moist dung inside there. Now it'll be difficult for the dung beetle to break this hard crust, but there are other types of dung beetles that live inside these things or burrow down directly below them, so there's definitely every opportunity that there are some dung beetles living in there. Now I'm not going to break it open, because doing that will really help it or make it lose a lot of moisture very quickly. So leave it just like that, but there will almost certainly be lots in there. I don't know if you've ever seen, Alison, The Lion King, the animation, when he breaks open that log and there's all these beetles and grubs and stuff moving around. That's probably what it's like inside there. I mean, you can see the outside is littered with all these little fly, bug, ant things. Gosh, I really should spend some more time with some insect specialists. I really wish I knew what these were, but you know what? I think, Niels, you're getting some nice close-ups there, so I'll use the footage to try and see if I can identify these little things, because now we've seen them twice. Obviously, quite common. Oh, there's something else very interesting. Niels, I don't know if you can see it. There's some sort of a spider over here, sitting very still, just in front of my wand there. And I think that spider is sitting very still. Can you see it there? Okay, I'm going to show you. See where the end of my wand is? Oh, I'm shaking quite a lot. Just in front of my wand, there's a spider about 2 centimeters, 3 centimeters in front of it. So that spider is staying very still. It's probably looking for ambushing some of these insects that are coming for the moisture. That's pretty awesome. Many different types of insects will sit in wait around piles of dung in order to catch all this activity. So that's pretty interesting. I don't know what type it is. I'm going to see if I can get a bit closer to have a look. Oh, there's so many. Every time I move, I see more little insects. That looks sort of like a wolf spider of some sort. So it's definitely a free-living hunting spider. And it's probably very, very quick. I'll show you again. I'm going to put my finger near it. So do you see the end of my finger? You see my finger there? You got it? Okay. Caleb, I don't believe this is one of the ones that we need to be particularly worried about. The ones we need to worry about are black and brown button spiders, which live on webs. We need to worry about the sack spiders, which are free-living, but they're very pale. They're almost white in color. This is a very dark spider. And violin spiders look sort of similar to this one, but much skinnier legs and a very round abdomen. So if I just do a bit of a splits here, yeah, no, it definitely looks like a wolf spider or a hunting spider of some sort. Now, we also have to be worried about the six-eyed crab spider, but that only really occurs in the very desert-like arid regions in the western part of southern Africa. And that one very rarely bites people because it lives in the desert where there's not many people around. Now, baboon spiders are very painful and they do bite, but we don't have to worry about them. But this is none of those. This is probably a wolf spider, free-living, free-roaming hunter. It's pretty great. I wonder where those bullfrogs are now. We were just discussing they probably buried themselves in and amongst all of this vegetation here. Well, we're going to leave this little patch now, keep heading in a westerly direction, and see what else we can find. Let's take a little bit of a walk, shall we? No, I think you're going to stay with us for a bit longer. Okay, that's fine. Let's head down this way. As you can see, we're in zebra clearings, which is a nice big open area. Very nice and open grassland. I think that hippo was probably feeding around here last night and this morning. The vegetation is not great for the hippo, but at least there's something. In fact, right over here, if you just follow me, Niels. This patch right over here, I'm going to send you off to someone else in a moment, but I just want to show you this patch. Look at this here. Can you see how this looks almost like a lawn? This is almost certainly where something like the hippo was feeding, because you can see that long grass all around. This short patch over here, so I think this is actually probably where it was feeding. But this is signs of a hippo feeding. Let's send you over to an actual hippo.
Thanks, Mark. Well, it's lovely to see where they've been feeding and where they maybe been walking around. But now we can just see this beautiful pod of hippos just resting here at the waterhole. You can see all of them have their eyes closed and probably spent a long night out and about feeding in an area similar to where Mark was just showing you now. We were just taking a look now, and looks like there are quite a few young hippos around. You might see them every now and then just popping their head up. They're quite a lot smaller than the adults, so they obviously can't stand so well, so they might pop up, stay there for a little while, and then have to go back down to, because they don't swim very well. Sometimes they stand on mom's back, but mom looks quite content with how she's lying at the moment. If you look just to the left there, that big female, she's got a calf that's just to the left of her, also just resting there. Hippos live for about between 40 and 50 years, so they've got quite a long lifespan. Yeah, and they'll spend most of it, but also depends on the area that they move or they live in and how much pressure they're under. But over here, they will probably get to live out that whole lifespan. Obviously, in captivity, they'll live a little bit longer than that. But in certain places where there's not a lot of water around, where they have to move big distances, they might not live quite out that 40, 50 years. But over here, we've got so much water, they do really, really well. You can see just those little bit of their ears flicking like that. They'll often do that if they get a little bit of water inside their ears. So they just flick them out, flick them like that to get the water out of their ears. You can see so many more heads popped up now than we originally had seen. Often when you see a pod of hippos, you think, oh, there's only 2 or 3. Then all of a sudden, a few more heads pop up, and you realize there's actually a lot more than you first thought. Everlasting, they sleep predominantly in the water like they're doing now. All of these hippos seem to be sleeping at the moment. But in winter, when it's a little bit cooler and the sun isn't as harsh, they will sometimes rest outside of the water, which is quite interesting to see, because often you don't see hippos outside the water unless it's at night time. Can you see that very, very young one just on the right there? Mum's just got her head out now, resting. And there's a very, very small baby there just to the right. So cute. Just popped his head down again. So the young hippos will also suckle underwater. So often you might see them going down, having a suckle, and then coming back up. There's a tiny little aquatic bird also coming from the right-hand side. It's called a little grebe. It's just gone under again, but it'll pop up. There it is. Very cute little bird. Amanda, there's nothing that will prey on a big, fully grown hippo. But on a young hippo, we've seen lions chasing them before. And yeah, I've seen lions feeding on hippos before as well, on very young hippos. So it would be quite something to see them chasing a hippo. You can imagine mom is very protective, and I'm sure the whole pod will work together to try and chase away any predators. But yeah, probably only lions would be their main threat. But as a full grown, they don't have to worry about too much. You know that they're very territorial, they're quite aggressive when they need to be, and yeah, they can protect themselves pretty well.
awesome to see hippos back in this waterhole. We've mentioned quite a few times how much rain we've had here, but it's a waterhole that usually is actually completely dry. About a month ago, it was just mud patches here, and there wasn't a whole lot going on. And it's amazing how hippos just come from surrounding waterholes, and when they go out to feed, they might just realize that there's a bit more water than they had previously seen, and now they can come and spend a bit more time in here. About a week ago, there was only 1 or 2 hippos, and now there's a few that's joined up. Okay, we're gonna just have to, there's a few cars that are behind us, a bit of a traffic jam because we are on a dam wall, so I'm just gonna have to go back a little bit and then let these cars pass us, and we'll be back with the hippos in a few moments. There we go. Sorry about this, guys. It's just seems to be a little bit of construction going on here. We're going to head back to Tswalu, who's got something cute to show you guys, and I'm sure we'll be back with you just now when we can look at our hippos again. Welcome back, everybody, and we have managed to find rather very active meerkats this morning. This is the Mokala group of meerkats that we have here, and these guys have been doing a lot of house maintenance lately. There's a lot of cleaning happening, as you can see, quite a bit of burrow sweeping, cleaning out, and some maintenance been done. It's the same as us getting up in the morning and waking up and just making up our duvet. I don't know if you've just seen that one falling into the hole, just so cute. Seeing all these youngsters and these little ones actually just playing around and about here at the moment. But yeah, quite a bit of activity happening. We are just at the tail end of their morning waking up session, and it looks like they're about to move out slowly but surely. And so these guys are looking pretty hungry actually at the moment, as it looks like they're going to start foraging pretty soon. It wasn't really a very long waking up session this morning. Generally, it takes about a good half an hour, 40 minutes or so for burrow maintenance, and then sunning themselves also in the meantime, maintaining the burrows, obviously just avoiding the parasite buildup and that sort of thing. But all of these situations happening at the same time is actually a pre-warming up session. And I'm very happy that we could actually just grab the tail end of this waking up session. It's a bit of a short one, but yeah, just so seeing these guys, the Mokala group being about 12 meerkats now in total, is what we can see here. And it looks like they're slowly but surely heading out. You can see the babies and the young ones actually just moving out with their caretakers, as you can see, one by one, slowly but surely starting to head out to forage. You can see the dark bellies that's been warmed up quite nicely. There's a bit of a fluff to their bodies this morning as well. As you can see, or can maybe hear the breeze a bit, that there is a bit of a tiny bit of a breeze from a chill factor that has been coming around this morning. So there is a bit of a fluff happening on the edge of their bodies, as there's a bit of piloerection that also makes the winter fluff grow on these guys, especially when we come to winter time, especially the sides, on the sides of where the arms have relaxed, sides of the body is where you get that fluff coming off. Debbie, you're asking what is the purpose of foraging? Foraging is basically where they're looking for the bugs, beetles, insects, looking for scorpions predominantly, especially in this March, this month basically. You would have them quite a bit feeding on scorpion activity majority, and then it'll go over to grubs and all sorts of things like that. So foraging is basically happening right throughout the day. Midday, when it's getting to a fairly hot temperature, it will get to a point where they actually
will find a nice bolt hole system or whatsoever, and then just duck down to a nice resting spot for about an hour or two or so, and then after that they'll forage again towards sunset. But foraging is basically to build a great amount of body energy and obviously to eat enough. That's what it comes down to. So, but yeah, I'm very, very happy that we could actually get to see these meerkats as their waking up session, as I was saying, was very, very short this morning, but just so cute seeing these little pups as well over here. But as I was saying, with that winter fluff coat starting to grow already on the side of the arms that you can see there, it's purely coming from piloerection, which is basically in our language, goosebumps. And goosebumps makes the hair grow, and that is what makes the hair grows extensively quickly actually, and then it makes actually that coat that they get in wintertime. There's not a proper coat yet. You'll see these guys, it almost looks like they're appearing very fat in winter. And it's nothing to do with the actual body fat. It's more just the coat that they have that's bloating, almost like a wolf's skin. And a lot of animals get that winter fluff. A lot of animals do in the Kalahari. It's just because we're in an environment of extremes. So, I mean, we get to a situation of -8, -9 in wintertime. To summer, obviously, the hottest temperature I've ever experienced here was about 52.8 degrees Celsius. So yeah, we will try to stick with these meerkats for as long as we can, but it does look like they are heading out slowly but surely as they're extremely active this morning. In the meanwhile, we're going to be sending you over to Trikonabumble.
Welcome back, everybody. So as you can see right in front of us, just came across another elephant bull feeding there. I'm just gonna pull over just right here. Looks like there's a bit of grass on his trunk there. Did you see that? Did you see just before this elephant fed on the grass, he started hitting it against sort of the upper part of his trunk or the chest part? Because remember, when they take off the grass off the ground, it comes out with a lot of sand and a bit of stones. So as they hit the grass against themselves, they're actually making sure that the soil falls off before they put the grass into their mouths. As you can see what that elephant is doing right there. Let's wait and have a look to see if it's going to do it again. You'll see it's still picking up the grass. Okay, maybe that one didn't have much soil in it. Just put it straight into its mouth. You see that? You see how you pick it up and then just hit it against the side and back into its mouth. I believe one viewer is asking if the elephant heads remember if one bull has been kicked out. I would like to believe that they do, because remember, elephants are one of the animals that have a very good memory. Really smart animals. So I believe they do. Look at his tusks there. Looking very nice. Right in shape as well. Yeah, so I think from here, I mean, this bull, I mean, same as the one that we saw earlier on. And it's just gonna keep on moving and feeding around. And actually, where it's heading, that's where we are going, because it's this big waterhole. Maybe, who knows, it might go to that area as well and have a drink. So I think we'll leave this elephant be and then head into that waterhole. I mean, it'll be quite exciting to see what other animals are there. I mean, as I said, it's still early in the morning. You know, different kinds of animals come down for a drink. You know, you have some other antelopes like impalas, you know, water bugs. It's a very water-dependent animal. Or maybe even some buffalo bulls might go into that area to have a drink. So while we head there, just gonna keep looking around and see what else we find along the way.
We stopped as the dusk was settling, and there was a zebra mare underneath the bush. She was lying down. We didn't really know what was happening, and then we saw it.
Everybody, there's a zebra giving birth there. There's a zebra giving birth. This is a zebra giving birth. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, you clever mare. Well done. It's born, everyone. It's born and it's alive and it looks fine.
This was, of course, an unusual sighting. Normally, herbivores like impala and wildebeest and zebra will give birth during the middle of the day. This is when their predators like lions and hyenas are fast asleep. But as this little foal took its first steps, the dying embers of the day had just gone over the western horizon, and it was just the time that the hyenas and lions were starting to get active and go out foraging. This is why we didn't light up the sighting, of course. It may have compromised the zebra's eyes and at the same time attracted those hyenas and lions to the activity.
For many years, Wild Earth has taken viewers from around the world to the Mara Triangle, a place of majestic beauty and abundant wildlife. But it wasn't always like this. Before 2001, it was infested with poachers. Illegal harvesting and hunting was rife. Now the situation couldn't be more different. The hard work and dedication of the Mara Conservancy has revolutionized this magical land. But now, the loss of revenue from tourism has created a grave crisis. The Mara Conservancy needs help if they are to continue protecting the reserve and supporting the local communities whose livelihood depend on its survival.
My name is Ross and I'm a field guide at and Beyond Pinde Private Game Reserve. I love getting questions from guests on Wild Earth because I love sharing and learning information about nature with new people, and it also makes me feel like you're all joining me in real life. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit your question below our live feed.
Hello everybody, welcome back. Well, we decided to check our northern boundary as someone's given us reports that the wild dogs are all the way down in Cheetah Plains, Jacobin side, and we found where the dogs came back out again, running along our northern boundary, and still tracks of a male leopard as well. So their general direction is still east, although now I've just lost them again. But I was thinking it's a completely different pack that would be down in the south. Oh, there they go. But it's incredible the distance that these animals can move in a short period of time. They're not sort of bound by the same laws other predators seem to be. so the best skills, stop, my radio just doesn't want to stop playing with itself. Let's just, okay, thank you. We got two radios here trying to get the job done. Lisa, definitely the best skills to have are observation. Observation, here you can see tracks of a young dog just over my shoulder over here, heading in that direction. And a whole pack of them running along here. So observation is very, very key, and the ability to look for the finer detail. But unfortunately with tracking, it just comes with practice. Lots and lots and lots of practice. Let's keep going. And then what I would suggest is and a good amount of intuition. Trust your gut. When you find a track and you think it might be, your gut is normally right the first time. Normally right the first time. But when it comes to following, I mean, identifying tracks is one thing. That's why there's two different qualifications. One is track and sign. Chasing something there. One is track and sign, so the ability to look at a track and go, that's a wild dog, that's a civet, that's a leopard. And then the next skill, which is the much harder one, is the ability to physically follow that animal. Hyenas, yeah. So the dog's up and down, up and down. So to physically follow. So that's generally something that is practiced on foot. But with the vehicle, you need to know your area. You need to know, I mean, direction is a very important element. And if the track's cut in a certain direction, you need to know what is in that side. So knowledge of your topography is really, really essential. Essential. Okay, so here we find ourselves at Cheetah Cut Line, and my assumption was the dogs would have hit here, but it looks like they've cut through the block over there, but some very fresh hyena tracks following on down. So let's see if it is indeed the same pack while we send you over to one with some very active meerkats.
So, welcome back everybody. As you can see, there's a huge amount of playful behavior happening, and these guys have moved off on a long distance. As you can see, this is a bit of a longer shot that we're trying here, and they are moving quite a bit around. There's a lot of play behavior from the youngsters in and out that bush. There's a crazy amount of play behavior happening, as this is very, very important for them to do so as well. Obviously building their body strength and their muscle development and so on. But yeah, incredible that we could actually see this foraging motion moving out from the burrows as well, that we can actually see all the motions that they go through during a waking up session for the morning, and then obviously get going for a foraging session. Check it out. You can see some of the adults while the others are playing in the background. Some of the adults just scouting and scanning over the area there. Is making dead sure that the area is safe enough from jackals that could potentially be hunting on them, and also hawks and eagles and that sort of thing that could be coming through to hunt on them. But yeah, man, that is so cute, seeing those little eyes scanning through the vegetation like that, and just seeing how they foraging, looking, well, foraging purposes, looking from a safety point of view if it's safe enough to do so. But yes, these youngsters are so active this morning. I mean, it just incredible seeing the amount of different behaviors that we're seeing in amongst the grasses. You can see the heads popping up there every now and again. They are close to a bolt hole, which is an abandoned spring hare burrow. And what's happening is that they will be stationary as they move out and about slowly from their main base burrow systems, slowly but surely move out across towards bolt holes. And so as he's just peeking out of one there again. And so these bolt holes is what they make use of
like a abandoned springhead burrow is what they make use of for safety purposes. So if there's a hawk or an eagle or any predator of some sort coming through the area that could be causing a threat or trouble to them, then they use it as a safety escape route. And so what happens is then, as you can see the others running off to the back end there, they have most probably classified it as, okay, it's safe enough to do so. So some of them are moving even further off from that bolt hole system as they're going through the area. And so just before you guys came back to us, we had a scout in the tree as well. A typical sentry system that happens when just classifying it as the safety being classified, saying, yeah, it's safe enough to do so. And we are moving out and about. We most probably going to be losing their visual very shortly from now onwards. But we can obviously see the movement coming through. I think there's about 3 or 4 left by the looks of it at that bolt hole. So, we're going to try and keep visual of these little meerkats, and this group actually leaving us slowly but surely by the looks of it. In the meanwhile, we're going to send you back over to Steve with something short and adorable.
Welcome back. We've found this tiny little giraffe. Must be only a couple of days, maybe a week old. We were looking now and you can actually see it's still got the umbilical cord. You can still see just between the legs there, it's hanging down. Looks like a piece of grass at the moment, but that dark strand there, that's the remaining bits of the umbilical cord. Very, very, very cool to see, and it's tiny. It's interesting to compare it against Mom. Look how she's going right next to Mom now, and to compare that size now is incredible. When this youngster was born, it was born already 6 foot, so already quite tall. But yeah, she's going to grow very, very quickly from now. Oh, something gave her a bit of a fright. You see how she goes straight towards Mom for a bit of protection. Sam, the giraffe will only stay with Mom for about 18 months, 15 to 18 months, so not a very, very long time. But in that first initial period, this initial period now, Mom will take the calf away and spend a little bit of time with her away from the rest of the giraffe, and then only after a few weeks will she then join up with the rest of the journey. So she's going to protect him for a little while until she gets big enough. But look at those tiny little tufts of hair on the top where those horns are going to be one day. Such a cute little face. We actually saw them staring in one direction earlier and they were looking at the other giraffe. You can see Mom's just avoiding them for now. She just wants to make sure that her youngsters is as safe as can be. So cute to see all the little features, so small and neat. So Jackson, they only disappear with the males. So if this youngster was a male, then after a few years, it would take a few years for that hair to start disappearing. And it'll just be on the top of the horn, so it won't be on the body of it or on the sides. And it takes about, I'm not exactly sure how many years, but a couple of years. It won't be in this initial stage.
if you look at the female there, that's why I said only the males will have hair disappearing. She's got horns with hair all the way to the top. There's no hair disappearing there. As they move off now, they're going to look how that youngster just disappearing in the long grass. It's amazing how long the grass is, and yeah, he's following right behind Mom, and we're going to have to move on. We won't be able to follow them for too much longer. We did see some zebras that were up ahead as well. We often see zebra and giraffe together. This is the main road on our way to all the lodges on Pinda. So if we do have any trucks or anything coming past us, that's the reason. And it's often a highway for animals. They use this road quite a bit. You can see the zebra just in front of us, but we're going to send you off to Trish with that's at a water hole.
Alright, so as I said earlier on, we're going to be coming into this absolutely stunning waterhole, as you can see here. And actually I was expecting to find quite a few animals, but surprisingly enough, there's not much. I mean, there's some few hippos that every now and then pop their head up here in this waterhole. And then if you look further sort of on the left hand side, right on the edge of this waterhole, there's an animal laying down there. Okay, and if you look at the horns, all right, they sort of bend a little bit backwards and then forwards. On the back of it has a little bit of brown color with a bit of light grayish color on the chest. So what you're looking at there, that's a waterbuck just laying down there, loving life where it is. There were some few impalas that I saw moving around, but I think now they've just moved off this waterhole. Maybe because they had a nice feed. Have a look at that waterbuck shaking its head there. And also, if you look quite closely, in its mouth, all right, if you really pay attention, it looks like it's chewing. Oh, sorry, there's an impala there as well. On the side there. It's busy feeding on grass. There's actually a bird right on top of it. Lily Pan, do the horns grow back if they break? The answer is no. They don't grow back. Once it's broken, that's it. And usually that's when it becomes a little bit more difficult for them, especially when you have to fight for females, you know, during rutting season or anything like that. It becomes a struggle because the other males with, you know, proper horns, you know, your chances of winning if you have one horn is very slim. But yeah, thanks for your question, Lily Pan. That is a really good question there. Yeah, it looks like that waterbuck is quite content with the impala as well on the side there. Yeah, this waterhole looks very quiet from the surface, but can you imagine what's happening under the water? With the amount of fish that might be in there, your catfish that might be in there. terrapins in there, and some frogs and toads and some platanas that might be in this waterhole. So underneath there's a whole ecosystem under this water. And there's just like this nice breeze that is just blowing through here. It's quite nice to hang out here. How many other different types of antelopes that are there? Yeah, there's actually, we have a lot of different species here of antelope. Maybe up to 5 different species, maybe a little bit more. I mean, if I can name them, if you can bear with me. So we have some impalas, waterbucks, some nyala, some kudus, steenbucks. We also have some sunnis, a gracebok. It's actually, it can get even up to 9 or 10 species. It's actually quite a lot of species here. The impala alarm calling in the distance. I wonder if that alarm calling is basically for, predators, because normally when they see predators, they actually make that call. I don't know if you guys can also hear it, but there's this call in the distance. But sometimes they'll do it even when they, see other impalas. From a distance, they'll even do that. But it's worth to keep an ear open, also your eyes open that direction, see if maybe we can see what's alarming calling at. And also, if you can see right in front of us, there are some other waterbucks going through the waterhole. Looks like a female and a youngster. But while we're still sitting here, I'm gonna send you to Tswalu.
I am still in this eastern area of Djuma, hoping to pick up something on Kalamba. But at the moment, I'm the only vehicle in this area. So what's nice is when there's a lot of vehicles around, though there's a lot of pressured sightings and things, it means that one person can come from this side, another person can come from this side, so we can narrow your search area much more efficiently. So now we kind of have to go around and around, and she's always constantly a few steps ahead of us. It means that we're always behind her. So just trying to relax and remind myself that if we're gonna see her, we're gonna see her, and it's also okay if we don't see her. I just got so excited because I really enjoy spending time with Kalamba, and I've missed her. I haven't seen her in a long time, so I really, really did want us to have a sighting of her. But maybe she was moving west from the east at that point when the fleeting glance of her was caught early this morning. So maybe that means she'll end up in the central areas of Djuma this afternoon. And then tomorrow morning as well, or even in the afternoon, we can look for tracks again to see if she's crossing, where she's crossing into Torchwood or maybe she's crossing north, or maybe she's crossing south. We don't know. But we can figure that out because now at least we know that she's in the area. Hi, Safari Kitty. You'd like to know what is the survival rate for a first-time leopard mother? It's the same as if she's done it many times, and that's about 40 to 50%. So it's got just under half a chance. Doesn't sound very nice, does it? So if she's a first-time mother, obviously she may make mistakes, but it's not in a human way. You know, it's not like in a human way in the sense that, oh, you could make a mistake like this or like that. It's her entire being has focused on coming to this point where she can have cubs, if she does have cubs. And everything is a very innate reaction. When the cub needs to feed, when she needs to feed, all of that happens in a very natural environment, and has happened that way for many, many years. Unlike our own, where, you know, there's separate feeds that are separated by a certain amount of hours in the day for our babies and things like that, and it's very scheduled because we've lost that natural rhythm. We've created another rhythm, and that's okay too, because that's how we have adapted to our environment and the way we've changed our environment. So she's not going to make mistakes in the sense that she's not going to feed her cub, or she's going to go out hunting for too long. But what could happen is that she may not be too familiar with what places are best to hide her cub. Things like that. And those are things that she will learn. But that mortality rate is more a result of that cub being exposed to maybe really cold temperatures, or most likely being taken by some other predator, something like that, not being able to defend itself. It's not usually because of that they're sick or something like that, and she's not able to take care of them. But again, to know for sure if she's got suckle marks and all the rest. So now what I'm doing is I'm backtracking her, so I'm trying to figure out where she's come from. So let's hope I pick up on something. Well, I know somebody who has picked up on something he's been wanting to pick up for a while. So let's go over to Steve.
Well, everybody, a whole another pack of wild dogs. They've come in from the Kruger side. So this is not the same pack we're following. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 I can count. There might be more. $19 dogs. So, James Richard, where are you? We need identification, please, sir. So here we are, just on Chitwa Driveway. Our decision to come all the way south again has paid off. Can you imagine? Carnage, these 19 dogs. So nice to see them all stationary in the road like this. Very blessed wild doggies. I think 19 is probably the most I've ever seen. elephant shouting over there. That's the kind of noise we heard earlier that we were following up on unsuccessfully. Here we go. Here comes the 20th one on the far side. Can you see that? He's like, where you guys all been? I'm going looking for food and you're all having a park out over here. See what behavior is happening here. Approaching quite submissively. Wonder if it is a different individual lying on the other side of the road. They all seem to be tolerating it. Well, everybody, wild dog magic. Isabella, well, it depends on if they catch adult male or female or youngsters. Yesterday's little young impala didn't go anywhere with that small group of wild dogs. Now there's 20 of these ones. Oof, they have to eat regularly. They'd probably hunt 2-3 times a day. So I have no doubt if we just watch them patiently for a moment longer, they're going to explode into action. Although some of them do look like they've got slightly okay bellies. There's quite a few youngsters in amongst this group, so they've obviously had pups recently. Pups have become adults. It's very hard to tell which ones are the pups by the coloration, but generally by the size. And they'll get to a point where they'll have to break up because 20 is just unsustainable. But a pack of this size will be able to take on wildebeest, kudu, even the odd water buck. They'll definitely go for larger prey. But obviously, impala will work for them. Cannot believe it, we are on our own, everybody. With a pack of 18, 19, I think my final count was 20 dogs. So if anybody knows who they are, you're most welcome to let me know. I don't have a clue. I haven't noticed a single one with the collar. There goes the Cheetah Plains vehicle. Very quiet. Doesn't really matter who they are, everybody. We're just blessed to be with them. Not moving. Okay, I've got a feeling they're looking quite alert now. Something is going to happen imminently. One of the alphas is going to go, let's go hunt. And they're going to be off. Todd, obviously they're integrated by 7 months. They look like adults. They're just not fully grown yet. So I reckon after a year and a bit, they look pretty much full grown. When they become mating ready is probably after 2.5 years. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. As I said, it was going to happen. So if you look carefully amongst them, you'll be able to notice that some are slightly smaller than others. But it's very hard at the moment to see that. You can actually see that group that's just gone off into the bushes there. We're a bunch of youngsters. Incredible, this amount of dogs. They're going to head over towards Cheetah open area. In 3, 2, 1. Come on, all of you. Up you get. I shouldn't be asking them to move, because when they move, it's going to be very quick. Too much energy. Some have moved off, others are going to just park in the shade. I don't know how far they've come from. Sips from Cheetah Plains said he's tracking them from the Kruger boundary. Okay, well, here they go. And we're going to follow, and who knows where they're going to lead us.
On the 27th of April, Wild Earth will be turning 14 years old, and we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for all of you. And to celebrate, we will be finishing the beautiful book that we started last year that looks at the history so far. But we do need you to be part of it. Please submit your most memorable sighting, or what Wild Earth means to you, or even just your name and a comment to be included inside the book. Head over to the website to add your name and reserve your copy. We are offering a 20% discount on all books bought before the end of March. And a big thank you to all of you who have contributed to the book so far.
Staying one step ahead is the key to survival out in the African wild. And now you can stay in front of the pack with a Wild Earth weekly newsletter. Sign up to be a Wild Earth explorer and you will get exclusive behind-the-scenes stories about your favorite guides and camera operators. Information about our upcoming plans and projects will be delivered to your inbox every week before anyone else. And you can hone your guiding skills by taking part in our Identify Me nature quizzes. Wild Earth explorers, it's in your nature.
I love being a cam op for Wild Earth. The animals coming right up close to you, especially like lions. Sometimes you get nervous, but you have to go with the flow. My favorite animal to film is the elephant because of how big it is. But when it's really up close to you, it's one animal that you would say, I really respect you.
What are you looking at, man? That's its gangster face. It has the manners of a common variety vagabond. Look at it, chewing with its mouth open like that.
One of the beautiful things, the most amazing things about being able to do bushwalks here at Pride Lands now is that I spend a lot more time on foot. And we discover little gems like this. We're in a small drainage line to the west of Ndlovu Dam, about 1 kilometer or so. And we've just come across this beautiful little pond, this waterhole, which is an absolute hive of activity. We can see buffalo tracks here, there's elephant tracks and dung, and there's a ton of activity here, there's life here, which is amazing. You can see it's busy. There's a pathway coming down with trampled grass all the way into this little waterhole. So it's a wonderful place now. We know about it. No one's ever told me there was a waterhole here. It'll only be here temporarily. It might only be here for another month or two before it dries up. But if we ever find any tracks in the area, it's a good idea to come and check this exact waterhole, because there's plenty of shady places to lie down and lots of water to be drunk. And it's a good place to ambush some animals if you're a predator. Now, we just had a whole bunch of giraffes that were in the area, probably came and drank here earlier, including TDH, Tall, Dark and Handsome, that massive, tall giraffe bull who's black as a sable. Now, what's interesting about this waterhole is that it's all clay ground and it's underneath a lot of shade, so it will remain full of water for a time, and it's filled along the edges with this water clover, which is an important little plant. It creates lots of habitats for microorganisms underneath the floating petals, or floating leaves rather, not petals. So if this is the native water clover, then it's actually not extremely widespread. There are a number of different species, and some of them are quite rare, or at least their distribution is concerning, that their habitat is slowly being lost. But this is the place I'll put my hammock, if anything. But I always talk about wanting to put my hammock somewhere. This is the place. Just look at this. You can see lots of elephant activity has been here. You can see there's a marula tree just behind me there, which has had a big branch pulled off not so long ago. In fact, we've been hearing lots of cracking branches over the last few days. This might well have been one of the sites that the elephants did this. As I mentioned, we have to be on alert because we're in a drainage line and there's lots of long grass around us. We haven't heard anything or seen anything apart from the giraffes, but we know the buffaloes walked in this direction. So it's quite likely that they're somewhere around here lying down. A herd of buffaloes, maybe 30 or 40 buffaloes. Might be the same group that we followed a few days ago. Hoping to maybe catch a glimpse of them. But we're going to start making our way back towards the camp now, in direction. We've come this far. I've taken note of this site. I want to come back here at another point and see how the level of the water changes and progresses over the next few weeks. There's lots of frogs in here. I can see the surface of the water breaking every now and again with movement from below. So I'm sure there's lots of platanas, tropical platanas, which are these very primitive types of frogs, very slimy, live their whole life completely in water. Hopefully we get to show you one at some point, but they're very secretive. They stay under the water. But for now, whilst we investigate this beautiful little spot, we'll send you over to Yuan, who's on a bit of a bumble. Oh, shame. Unfortunately, Tswalu's having some technical difficulties, so you'll stay with us a bit longer. What a shame. There is something really cool that I can see. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, Niels, on the video. I'm going to creep over to it. It's this little red bug that just landed. Oh no, of course it would fly away exactly as I tried to come a bit closer. That's okay. That's what bugs do, I suppose. But there's another thing that I can show you, is this beautiful blue flower. Now, I know some of you, the viewers, will have definitely seen this before. I'm trying to move out of the light. Let's have a bit of a quiz. Let's see if anyone can remember. What is this beautiful blue flower called? If any of you can... Oh, as I... Look at that. It's a little... I don't know, like a woolly bee fly or something just came. Did you see that, Nils? That was interesting. So just as I exposed it and made it put out a bit open in the sun, that little bee came and landed directly on it. It looked like a bumblebee. I don't think it was a honeybee. But quiz time. Does anyone know what flower that is? I'm sure you've seen it before. Named after 3 brothers, 2 of which were botanists of some repute, let's say, and one of them wasn't well known at all. Any ideas what flower that is? It's got a nice pouch just next to it. I don't know if you can see it, just by my finger, just over there. There's a pouch, which is filled with water, so it can be used as eye drops, can be used just as water to drink. It's very furry on the outside and on the inside, and so it doesn't evaporate the water very quickly. The water seems to stay there for quite some time. So any guesses as to what that is? There's another interesting thing in front of me, but I want to keep the flower in the image for now. So there is another type of flower like this that's yellow in color, and that one is less common, even though it's actually the common version of it. Maybe in other parts of Africa it's more common. Any ideas? I know you've seen this one before. Shiraeus, yes, absolutely. This is a blue commelina. Spectacular. So the blue commelina is a flower that you find abundantly, especially in sheltered environments, often near water. Oh, here comes that bee again. Here comes the bumblebee. It's coming back. Look at that. Quick and easy. Yes, so it can be used as eye drops. You can drink it. They usually grow in big groups or big bundles, and so it's a great one to find if you're very thirsty. And there's another cool insect right over here. Oh my goodness. It's not an insect, it's an arachnid. I don't know if you can see that. Right here on my finger is a spider moving. It's got incredibly huge chelicera, massive fangs. Very skinny legs, but massive fangs. I don't know, can you see that, Niels? I don't know exactly what that is. I actually thought it might have been one of the not fishing spiders, what do they call them? Net-throwing spiders. Look at that. Look at those incredible fangs. Wow, that thing looks like it could punch a bit of a bite. I don't think those fangs are very strong, but man, they're almost half the length of its body. That is pretty incredible. I've never seen a spider like this before. I'm going to have to do a bit of research to figure out what it is. It's really searching around. It looks like a male version of the spider because it's got pedipalps. Wow. Oh, well, anyway, whilst I figure out what kind of spider this is, we'll send you over to Steve, who's managed to find his wild dogs.
Welcome back, everybody. Well, they're just here at the little causeway to cross Cheetah water itself. And it looks like they're... Oh, I'm going to give them a hard time. Looks like they don't quite know what to do. They might end up crossing here. They are a little bit trepidatious about crocodiles in the water. It's almost like they want to cross right here, but they're not sure. Last year, there was no water in this little area. This was a straight-through little drive. And they probably knew that, and now they're thinking, what on earth happened to this nice little way through? We know that there's a hunting field on that side, full of impala. Hello, beautiful dogs. So I've counted 22 now, everybody, and one of them does have a collar. But it's very hard to get them all in one shot. Yeah, you want to know the tactics they use. Well, they run. They run very quickly, and they outnumber and overpower their prey. If you were watching the show last night, we saw them just run straight through the herd of impala, and as soon as a weak individual was isolated, they chased it into the ground and they ripped it apart. It's normally can be a very quick process. Unfortunately, sometimes when they're in few in number, it's quite a slow process because they don't go to kill the animal by throttling. They go to kill the animal. What's he pulling out there? He pulled out a stick. Oh my goodness. Look at this stick, everybody. It's got roots and leaves, and let's all play with the stick. We are definitely dogs. It's my stick. And so what you see what they're doing there now with that stick, that's what wild dogs do when they catch something. They rip it apart and they rip and they tear. There's no aggression towards each other. There's a little bit of social hierarchy, but they're all quite sort of civil when it comes to feeding. They're very, very reliant on each other as a unit to be successful hunters. So they might chirp and make some noise, but there's no aggression like you see in hyena or lion or leopard. Very, very important unit. Important structure. So they're very fit, long-distance runners, and they will stalk. They will get as close to prey animals as they can. Their body's low, their ears flat, and then once they're ready, they lurch into full speed, and they overwhelm many animals that way. Very successful in their hunting. Especially when it comes to sticks. 100% success rate at hunting sticks. Okay, well, it looks like they're going to go across there. That one in the front's actually got a very bloody face, so they've probably eaten already this morning. If that one goes across, they're all going to go across. So I'm going to go around, because there's no crossing there for me. I'm going to go around onto the other side as soon as we have an opportunity. It's not that they're afraid of water. They're afraid of what lurks in the water. Crocodiles. Okay, so we're going to go around and try to catch up with them, and we're going to send you back over to Puan.
Welcome back, everybody, and we are just arriving at a gorgeous dune top set here that we have been coming through in the area further east as we decided to travel a bit further east, closer to where we have left that two male cheetah tracks from yesterday. So we were scanning on top of that dune just now because that is a really good spot for these cheetah to come through to every now and again. And especially when they travel through these eastern sections, as I've mentioned yesterday, they do like to travel quite a lot from elevated positions to as where we've seen those tracks going up the mountains yesterday. Update on those meerkats. They have rather left us actually this morning, foraging in the further distance off. So that is why we have decided to come a bit further east and try to follow up furthermore on these cheetah. But yeah, we've had a pretty good shot there this morning. That was really, really special. Seeing another beautiful diversity of the reserve, another stunning landscape as we are much further south from that area that we were in the eastern sections. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be driving a bit further onto the road here in front and see what we can find down here, and also looking for the tracks of these cats. So yeah, just showing you quickly how gorgeous this area is actually that we are in at the moment. Busy looking for these cheetah. I mean, this is just another stunning landscape coming out and about over here in this area, as we're going to be panning over the mountains to the front as well. But yeah, join us. Let's drive down the road and see what we can find. So we are looking for these tracks coming across this road. The area, like I said, where we have had those tracks yesterday was just on the other side of this hill, but there's a nice valley to the front there that they could have been passing through to. So we are looking for these tracks coming across further down south here in this area. This is why we're starting from the southern entrances here. Alison, you are wondering what animals am I looking forward to see in winter?
For sure, definitely a lot more aardvark, as the grass and the vegetation is very tough to track them at the moment, because yes, they're fairly heavy animals, but it's not heavy enough as opposed to your big animals to track. And you can think about it, looking at the vegetation covering the surfaces at the moment is quite hectic actually, so very, very difficult to track, as opposed to being an area considered to be much better to track most of the time in this area. So it is quite tough to follow aardvark and pangolin at the moment. So wintertime we will definitely see some more activity on those guys, obviously walking around in daylight. Just before we leave this area, I just want to scan that dune top once more. But from that point of view, seeing a lot more different other animals in the area in wintertime, definitely, like I was showing you the African wild dogs the other afternoon when we had that awesome hunt on them. Like I've been saying that afternoon, my sentiments are that that female is pregnant at the moment. And wintertime, for sure, that will be around where there will be pups if she's pregnant. So yeah, definitely that is for sure something I'm looking forward to seeing. So I can't see anything yet on that dune top there. So they might have passed through there already. But yeah, I can't see any visual of them there. So yeah, let's continue down the road here and see what we can find. I see there's a kudu male running in front there, just on the base edge of the mountain, coming through the edges of the bushes, but let's pull a bit forward and see if we can catch a visual. So the kudu male might be running away from the cats, possibly walking through here. So we are scanning through this area slowly as we go through. I mean, obviously animals running often every now and again could give a dead giveaway as opposed to a predator moving through the area. And obviously those cheetahs that might have come through here. But you know what? Even while you're driving here and you just scan for whatever your plans are to find in the environment like this, it is just breathtaking to drive through an environment like this. I mean, it is just shocking, amazing. Seems like our kudu has ran out of the area completely now. But yeah, you get these cheetahs every now and again from the many different cheetah that we have on the reserve. Sometimes some of them comes into these mountain sections, obviously as a good scouting position. But yeah, then most of them will be in the dune fields, obviously, which is the perfect savanna environment. But there are the odd savannas that you could find in these mountain sections as well. Just want to scan this mountain here quickly. Sometimes you do get quite a bit of movement of leopard in this area as well. It is a bit late in the morning to find leopard, but it's a good time of the morning when they start moving up the mountains for the day, taking a good covering position. But there's so much to look at and so much to look for when you're especially tracking cheetah in a certain area. I mean, especially the big nests like the sociable weaver's nest that we've been having coming past. They make use of all those big sociable weaver's nests for marking posts and so on, and marking their territories in that position. So what happens is, wherever you find those nests, you can often look for their tracks bypassing through an area, coming through in areas like that. There's a lovely amount of mother plants in this environment. As I've been saying, well, talking about the shepherd's trees and the camelthorn trees in this area, I mean, there's a crazy amount of life being drawn towards those mother plants in this area. So this is the reason why these cheetahs do come through here as well in these savanna environments. But yeah, we're going to keep on going and see what we can find on these cheetah. We'll keep you updated.
Our lives are dictated by alarm clocks, traffic jams, constant multitasking, and countless distractions. The wilderness is where many of us feel the most human. On a bushwalk, we become part of the natural landscape. As you step off the vehicle, everything comes alive. As with any risky experience, walking amongst these animals inspires awe and appreciation. Now it's your turn to go on a bushwalk. Join us from Pridelands as we slow down our thoughts, put aside our distractions, and reconnect with a place that first taught us how to be human. Wild Earth explorer Jenny recently joined Tristan as he broadcast live from Djuma.
Awesome to kind of have a guest on board. I'm looking forward to this. This is Jenny.
Hi everyone.
And Jenny is the first of our Ticket to Dream holders.
If you want to go on safari with a Wild Earth guide, whilst honing your bush knowledge and of course featuring in one of our shows, then head over to our website.
Literally being with Tristan on the vehicle today has been incredible. It has truly been a dream come true.
Sign up to be a Wild Earth explorer and you could be making your first ever on-screen appearance.
I would highly recommend being a part of the Explorer program and being able to be a part of an interactive live drive.
My name is Taylor McCurdy and I work for Eco Training. I love hearing from all of the viewers. However, I particularly enjoy those of you who have been watching for a few years. Your questions are just so advanced and they really get me thinking. If you'd like to ask a question on Wild Earth, you need to register on our website. Once you've done that, head to the Live Safari page and submit your questions below the live.
Welcome back everyone. Well, these dogs have moved across the water and are heading directly west towards Chitwa Old Driveway and towards Little Gowrie. Now, they're quite a force to be reckoned with. We see so many of them. But there's a young female waterbuck down by the water that they didn't even look at. Maybe the grass is a bit too long. I can see some impala down there as well. But we must keep up with them because we're about to, they go west. We're going to lose them. We're going to have to move out. They're just going straight along the road now. We've got Herbie with us again in the sighting. Seems like I'm losing signal, but I'm going to have to move if we want to stay with them, I'm afraid, Gwen. So, there they go, west. We're having some issues with our mast over this side, everybody, so. Okay, we're going to see where our dogs go. We send you over to Chico on a bungboat. Welcome back, everybody. So yeah, we just came from that waterhole where we were, and there's been reports of a pride, like in this direction here. So that's where we're gonna go, try to see if maybe we can find them. So the reports sounded like there was one male, and then a female with 3 youngsters, and another female with 2 youngsters. So that's where we're gonna go right now. But also just sounded as if like these animals were not moving at all. We're just still laying down. But if we do find them, you know, because I know they have these cubs. Cubs are always, you know, or youngsters are always very playful. So they might move around, play around a little bit. But it'll be quite nice to find them all. They're still moving around a little bit. Yeah, so while we're driving towards that area, we also haven't seen actually a lot of animals around. But I guess also, as you can see in this area where we're driving around, it's really, really thick with vegetation. But the amazing thing, or one thing that you have to do while you are here in Africa, even though it seems like there might be nothing around, you must just keep on looking. Because sometimes you might get lucky with animals just crossing the road. So right now, I think while we head to that area, I'm going to quickly send you to Mike.
Right, so we have found something that's as dangerous as a lion, I suppose, in some ways. It's called a thorny apple or a thorn apple, and it is an invasive plant. It is not a native plant. The other name you might know it as moonflower or datura, which is the genus. Datura stramonium is the full species name, and this is an invasive species from, I think, South America. We believe probably brought in during the Anglo-Boer War when the English were bringing in fodder for their horses, and amongst that fodder was all sorts of nasty seeds that we don't want. So this plant here is toxic. Many animals don't eat it, and those spiky apple, these things here, I don't know if you can see it, these are what are the seed pods. So inside there, these are not ripe yet, so we actually should pull this one out before they ripen. Inside each of those are hundreds of little black seeds that are often referred to in Afrikaans as malpitte, which means crazy seed or something similar. And because the seeds themselves are very toxic, and people who ingest them, or even animals that ingest them, often exhibit some signs of insanity. They just go a bit crazy. Sometimes they have hallucinations and they freak out, and then it makes them very sick. I mean, it's a very, very strong toxin. So they are occurring in these open areas, especially where there's lots of water. This used to be cattle grazing field, so it's slowly going back to what it should be, but what's left over is from the fodder for the cattle. So I'm going to try and see if I can pull it out, although as you can also see around it, it's lots and lots of paper thorns all over here, which is another pioneer plant. We should try and pull them out when we see them. And this one, let's see, usually the roots are not in too deeply. Let's see if I can pull this one out of the ground. So we can remove, there you go. There you go. Look at that. So you can see the whole root mass is there out. There's a few of the pods that have dried, which actually I'll show you, since this is going to leave seeds whatever we do. I'll try and see if I can show you what the seeds look like inside. Can you see that there, Niels? So that are the seeds of this plant, and these seeds hopefully are not quite yet ready to be able to germinate. It's still a bit soft. Usually it's very dry. So I'm hoping we leave this upside down and this plant will die and hopefully be decomposed by some other insects. And what's interesting is once you pull this out, all of these rigid stems that you see that are green and hard. Oh, that's a question. I'm not sure who asked the question, but the question is, how do they grow in this foreign environment? And the reason is that the foreign environment does not have the natural predators of this plant. And so it tends to take over. Nothing is eating it. It's toxic to most of the insects and animals that we have in this area. And so it tends to grow unimpeded. Now, it doesn't grow everywhere because it needs certain things. Like this plant usually needs very clay-like, muddy soils with lots of water content. That's where it seems to grow best. And now, what I was mentioning before is that if we pull this out, which I have done now, it's very quick. Within a few hours, this whole plant wilts and crumbles and just becomes just like a pile of mush. And that's because it sucks so much moisture from the ground. It needs a lot of moisture. So this plant, not only does it tend to take over areas, but because it draws so much of the moisture out the soil, it doesn't allow any of the native grasses to be able to survive, because it just takes all the moisture from them before they have a chance. So it's good that we pull these out, and you should always try and pull out these datura whenever you see them, because they are a terrible invasive plant. Now, it takes many years to get rid of them because, of course, we've pulled this one out now, which has prevented these seeds from being able to fall out and germinate. But there will undoubtedly be thousands of seeds already in the soil just waiting for next year's rain. So every year, when they start growing, when they're still young, we should pull these plants out. This whole field that you see behind us here, this whole field was completely covered in this datura a few years ago. When eco-training moved here, we would always get our students on walks to pull out bunches of these plants. And so over the last 2 years that we've been operating here, it's a lot less the load. But still every year we see more, so it's still a couple more years to go before we completely remove it from here. But it's a slow process, and it's getting there. Just got to keep trying. But anyway, Steve's found his wild dogs. We'll send you over there.
Welcome back, everyone. While our dogs are moving all the way back right here at taking a bit of scent marking. Right here at Cheetah Cut Line junction with Chitwa. Claiming that bush. I don't know where all of them are, but we've got about 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 visible here. I think the rest are just in the shade between us and this little pan on the junction. There was one brief little chase after he left us, but didn't amount to much. Around probably the biggest animals of wildebeest, although I have heard reports of buffalo, but buffalo is a very dangerous animal for wild dog to catch. But when they're in big enough numbers, it is possible. I've never seen it. Normally, wild dogs stick to the medium-sized prey. It's only their large numbers that will necessitate them killing a large animal. Otherwise, they don't normally take the risk. Impala and then kudu, maybe it's the sort of the size range. But female waterbuck, male waterbuck are normally left alone. It's just a little bit too formidable. Wildebeest, last night we had the dogs run straight past the wildebeest. I thought the wildebeest had run, but when they saw it was dogs, they're like, we're not too scared. But when it comes to numbers, everybody, last night there were dogs. Now there's 22, maybe more. Big number. Places to defend.
Yeah. Thumbs up there. Welcome back, guys. So we are finding something very interesting on the edge of the road here while we're looking for these tracks of this cheetah. Now, there's various different things happening here. Actually, I don't know if you can see all those draggings happening over here on the spot. And I actually can't really see what was dragged here. And it's tough to actually say, because the thing is, porcupines would be the first one of all to actually dragging coils, but it doesn't make these deep indents actually. The only thing that I can see is there's a Cory bustard that's been walking here. As you can see, this track, it's actually the fingers that you can see there, very well displayed, and then the back track that you're looking at there. So a typical bird
shape of the track coming through there, but it's been going through, walking through that direction. So that's definitely not the culprit that caused this dragging. It's come across over here and it's dragged across into this bush coming through. Now I can see a set of tracks here, but that is a wildebeest that's been walking, and it's also on top of the tracks of the of this dragging that's coming through here. Now this is very interesting. I can see a track of a hyena here, so that might be the culprit that has been walking across here, dragging something. So it is possible that something small got killed here in this area, something being like, how can I say it? Something like, let's say for instance, a porcupine that got killed, because I can see draggings here. It could be that there was a bush being stuck onto a certain animal while it's been dragged. But I can definitely see it's been dragged in this direction, going across to this side where, Bika, I don't know if you can zoom into this track. I'm going to try open up this for us. If we look across to this spot over here, can you have that? A bit difficult there. But I can see the toenails of a spotted, of a brown hyena actually gripping into this vegetation over here as it's been walking across. So it's been dragging across there. I can see it's going across through into the vegetation there, where it's been dragged across. So I think let's take a slow bumble down the road here and see what's been happening. It's possible that those cheetahs, we are very close to the area now where these cheetahs have been yesterday. So it's possible they have killed something, hyena come past and maybe possibly pushed the cats off it, and it's been dragged across here. I don't think this is a porcupine for sure. This is something that's been caught, that's been dragged, and the hyena is talking of, well, speaking of which, with the tracks coming across here. So yeah, let's take a bumble down the road here and see maybe what we'll get to the answer of what's been happening here actually. Yeah, so Eddie, you're wondering if the porcupine coils will not hurt the predator while they actually killing the porcupine. It can, yes, for sure, and that's generally when you see the predators again of like 2 days afterwards. You see, well, like one coil stuck here and whatsoever. It definitely does, but the thing is that animals in the bush is much tougher than we are. So then it gets to that point that they actually, especially in a coalition with the males, they pull the coils out from each other like they would do allo grooming, typically from a respective good balance point of view, as in keeping a good relationship between the two, if I can put it that way. Then what happens is they will unplug those coils. But they also, if they can get to the head is where that hard-shaped coils, if I can find a picture of a porcupine here quickly, I can show you here, just to get to that quickly. But yeah, the coils of a porcupine behind his head is actually very soft. If we look at this, you can see here these coils. You can come back to me, BK. And so these coils that we're looking at here is just like hardened hair that you can see there. So that specifically is very flexible. These are the coils, the hard ones at the back, that could be causing the trouble coming through in like hurting the animal. But if the predator can get to the soft head part function, this area here, then they could actually, because the heads of a porcupine is actually, believe it or not, very soft. So then that section, if that gets killed, the porcupine can't hurt from that side. So they will also be fed from these angles onwards. And so that is why the porcupine always flashes these coils towards the actual predator that's attacking them. So if the predator can get to this section here, that's pretty much what would happen where they could kill a porcupine. But yeah, for sure, the coils can hurt. Porcupines they actually have a very strong attitude that happens with them. They actually, when they've been attacked or feeling a threat to the certain given point in time, they have this attitude where they stamp their feet on the ground and they throw this tantrum basically that stamps their feet on the ground, and they say, I had enough of this. And then they have the coils being erecting on the back, and it's a whole full display where they have a lot of sound coming along with that as well. But yeah, very cool. So we're going to see who's the culprit and what's been happening here with these tracks. In the meanwhile, we'll send you back over to Steve with these wild dogs.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, it looks like a few of the members went north into Djuma. Well, they all seem to be coming back. They're looking for a little bit of shade. It's getting quite warm. Still not sure who they are, so if anybody knows, please let us know. Pack of 22, there's a male with a collar. It's getting quite warm, we can feel it now. They're still a little bit busy. Hamilton's pack. Oh, thank you, James Richard. James Richard matched them with the Hamiltons. One of the individuals just stood up there has got a very specific notch in the ear. So that should make it easy identification. Hamilton's pack, good to know. We were just chatting with Ali from Cheetah Plains. He was from Cheetah. Oh, we've just lost him. He was trying to find out who they are, and I'm like, I don't know. I'm waiting for the voice in my ear. Are you finding shade there, pooches? So splendid, isn't it? Spend this time, the amount of time we have in the last 2 days with dogs. See, do you know what they've gone and done? They've gone and chased some impala in Chitwa. Now they're doing a loop around. So the impala think they've left. Very sneaky doggies. Very sneaky. Back into Chitwa they go. We've still got one. Okay, well, wild dogs would love to find a herd of something to quell their hunger. I wonder what herd Peter's got for you.
Welcome back to and Beyond Pinda. We've got a beautiful herd of elephants. We've got a massive bull to our right here, and he's just above us, but look how beautiful he is. You can see that bit of sand on the top of his head. The elephants are moving towards us, so I might be reversing a little bit. This guy, oh, Rusty doesn't want to get started. There you go. It's quite amazing when they're this close to you. You can see that incredible size. He wasn't too happy with us, but we're just reversing for him now, and he'll relax as soon as we get back a little bit. There you go. It's amazing to compare his size with the elephant just to his left there. He's a lot bigger, eh? And if you look at his head, just above those eyes, he's got those beautiful dimples. And those are only formed after about 25 years, so we can tell he's quite an old bull. Still quite interested in us. We are on a road that goes towards a waterhole, and it's heating up quite a bit now, so I wouldn't be surprised if they make their way slowly towards that waterhole. You can see how he's just slowly trying to work out what we are. That's a good question. They've got a very, very thick skin, and I think as a result their skin can absorb quite a lot of mud and dust and so on. So not absorb it, but it tracks it and can stick to it quite easily. And we often see, just like with this bull here, we can see that, oh man, we can see that he has got a lot of mud on him already. So I'm just trying to get started here. Always when we're around elephants, then then our car doesn't want to get started. But we're back on the road now, and so you can imagine when they go in mud bath or whatever with a bumpy skin, that mud sticks to them quite a bit easier. There they are, back on the road now. And that thick skin also protects them from the sun quite nicely. You can see this bull now really enjoying the shade, scratching his foot a little bit. Really awesome just to watch him. But also you can see, if you look just behind his eyes there's a bit of oozing coming from his temporal gland, and that's often the case when they go into must. Kimberly, they will start mating, well, they become sexually mature at 16 years old, but they'll only really get the chance to mate with a female once they probably get to around 25, when they're old enough and they're dominant enough to take on other bulls in the area. But they become sexually mature at 16 years. You can see the whole herd now coming towards us. I think they are making their way slowly towards that waterhole that I was talking about earlier. So I'm just going to get out of their way and actually go and see if we should just wait there for them. I'll just reverse and be in front of them, and it'll be quite lovely if they do make their way in that direction towards the waterhole. Can just wait here. You obviously don't want to obstruct their paths when they're on the way to the water. Sometimes when they do know that there's water around, they can move quite quickly. That bull's now blocking the rest of the herd from moving any further. Busani, these animals are now on Timbuktu extension. They look to be slowly mobile in a northerly direction. See him just pick up a little bit of sand there. It's quite nice, cool sand that's been in the shade, so a lot better than choosing that hot sand. So we're going to sit with this herd of elephants. Hopefully they do end up going towards the waterhole, but we're going to send you off to Steve with the wild dogs.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, we're still with our dogs. Now, they were lying here in the shade, and an elephant bull came through here and just chased them all. That's his want. That's what elephants do. But they're all hiding in the shade as we are trying to hide in the smallest speck of shade. I'm still here, Paul. They're still at that pan. Yeah, affirmative, Paul. Still the same pan. One's gotten up and heading back into Chitwa. Paul, I didn't get your full question there. One just ran and dived in the water over here. Something about other predators. There we go. They're getting very excited. They're all going to jump in the water. Paul, Paul, they definitely do interact with larger predators, and they do occupy the same landscape, but they do much better in areas where there are fewer larger predators. That's why they move such large areas. Hyena's a big problem, leopard's a big problem, and as well as lion is specifically a very big problem. So if you took the other large predators out of the equation, wild dogs would do superbly well. But unfortunately, with the competition that goes on with the larger predators and the dogs are far more susceptible to injury. Okay, looks like we're up for round 2, everybody. Are you ready for it? Obviously, wild dogs in numbers like this will outnumber any hyena, any leopard. But they don't even try challenge lion. It's just way too much of a risk. It's why last night, as soon as it got dark, the dogs just stopped moving, the ones we had on Djuma. And it's why we also consider them being more diurnal, being active more by day than by night when the larger predators are active. But they have evolved on a landscape whereby larger predators are a part of it. That's why they say in Tswalu being a more arid sort of open area, it's more sort of suited to wild dog and cheetah with much larger ranges, adaptable, very successful hunters. Both of them very successful hunters, but both of them very susceptible to competition by larger predators. So the biggest issue we have with wild dog in South Africa and in Africa in general is not necessarily lion, leopard, or hyena, but it is man. Wild dog are a very successful hunter, and so they've been known to get through fences out of game reserves. They've got very large areas that they roam, and they have been considered as a problem for livestock farmers. And unfortunately, livestock farmers do not take lightly to wild dogs on their property. It's a big concern, and it's one of the reasons why their numbers are so low. They don't remain in conservation areas. They do well in conservation areas, but they get out of them so easily. There's no dog-proof fence. They're able to dig. They're able to access burrows that warthogs have dug under the fence, steenbok. Okay, we'll talk about competitive predators. Chico's got one that apparently the dogs would not like at all.
All right, welcome back, everybody. As I said earlier on, there were reports of pride. If you look right in front of us, you'll notice we have found a male lion that is just laying down there under that shade there. So earlier on the reports where there were some females around, but at the moment we don't see them. They could potentially be here in the thickets, or maybe they have moved off. But yeah, I mean, this is quite amazing that we did manage to find this male here. I mean, as you can imagine, right now it's starting to get warm. I'm sure you can see on your screens there, right on the edge of this tree or bush, you'll see a little bit of sunlight there. So it's starting to get warm. And, a male like this, or a male this big, doesn't need to move around a lot when it's this warm. Also doesn't need to waste that energy, because you'll need that energy as soon as the sun goes down later on. So he might also look to hunt later on, and also he'll be patrolling his territory, making sure that there are no intruders. So what you're looking at there is one of the brothers, or brother rather, or the other roast male. So this is the dark-maned one. We're not too sure where his brother is at the moment. But then also if you look at his front paws, if you look at the pad, darkish color, and that actually, it's sort of like a rubberish. It has this rubberish feeling on it. And that comes in handy, especially when you're hunting. Because of that rubberish sole, they can be able to stalk without getting noticed. And also just looking at his tummy, it looks quite flat. So this male hasn't had anything to eat in a little while. Welcome, Charles. I'm glad you can join us. I believe you are saying that the paws are huge. Yeah, they are incredibly big. And I mean, those paws that you're looking at there, you know, those are weapons. Especially when they hunt along those long, sharp claws. That they mostly, you know, stick them out when they're hunting or fighting. So yeah, quite formidable paws there. And even though this male, it looks like he's, you know, completely out. But one thing for sure is that, you know, their brain didn't, you know, shut down. You know, same as us when we go to sleep, where we just shut everything down in a sense of smell. You know, you have your eyes shut. And this guy has his eyes shut, but his ears are always listening what's going on around. Even us just sitting here, 100% sure this lion can hear us. Also, if, you know, some sort of a prey, if it does come past here, it'll be up in a heartbeat. Because also remember, cats, or this particular lion here that you're looking at, is opportunistic. Anything that will come around here and it thinks it can catch it, will be right on top of it. You can see there's a little bit of a breeze that's blowing through. I mean, this lion is sitting under a shade. So yeah, it's enjoying this particular spot here. And while we're still staying with this male lion, we're just gonna stay here a little bit longer and just see what he does next. So, as I said about the breeze, I mean, if you can see the grass is sort of bending forwards. So this wind is blowing from our south and heading sort of in a northeast direction. And that lion there that you're looking at is having fantastic time just lying down there with this nice bit of breeze. But to be honest, I don't think this lion is going to move at all. And what you see there, is probably that's what it's going to be doing all morning. And also, with him, we have actually haven't seen him with his brother in a long while, as I said. I'm just wondering if his brother is with, the other breakaway pride of this Birmingham pride. Because last time when we saw him, he was actually mating with this one female. But for now, I think we're gonna just stay here for a bit and keep on enjoying him.
Our lives are dictated by alarm clocks, traffic jams, constant multitasking, and countless distractions. The wilderness is where many of us feel the most human. On a bushwalk, we become part of the natural landscape. As you step off the vehicle, everything comes alive. As with any risky experience, walking amongst these animals inspires awe and appreciation. Now, it's your turn to go on a bushwalk. Join us from Pridelands as we slow down our thoughts, put aside our distractions, and reconnect with a place that first taught us how to be human. With a slew of potential dangers lurking, it's essential to be aware of your surroundings whilst walking in the wilderness.
20 yards away from one of the most endangered species. This is a big bull.
What a moment, what a close encounter with an Ellie bull. He's just over here now. He's moved completely away.
Being on a bushwalk and seeing a leopard, it's ridiculous to be this close to a leopard on foot and for him not to run is absolutely insane. How crazy was that?
Through the gap there is just the back of the head of a male lion. He is absolutely unaware that we are here right now. I'll tell you, seeing lions on foot, it definitely brings out the caveman in you, this little scared human being.
My name is Taylor McCurdy and I work for Eco Training. I love hearing from all of the viewers. However, I particularly enjoy those of you who have been watching for a few years. Your questions are just so advanced and they really get me thinking. If you'd like to ask a question on Wild Earth, you need to register on our website. Once you've done that, head to the live safari page and submit your questions below the live feed.
Alright, welcome back again. So yeah, like as I said earlier on, when the sun goes down again, he's gonna start to move, maybe even vocalize looking for his brother. And then maybe they will link up and start to move, patrolling their territory. Or even look for the rest of the pride as well. Because normally when they hunt, the females do much of the hunting, and if they catch something, obviously these males will try to take over it. Because you can see, as I said earlier on, he hasn't fed. But for now, he looks happy and very content where he is. All right, everybody. It's been fantastic time having you with us. And I hope you enjoyed being with us this morning. We'll catch you later on in the afternoon. And for now, good day and have a fantastic rest of your morning.